Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing a card that could be quite easily be made into an art journal piece, and it's inspired by this quilt that was made by my mum, which is a rainbow, I think it's called Bargello technique, which is basically going through and shifting some of the lines of the pattern so you get this beautiful rainbow effect that almost sort of twists and twirls. So I was incredibly lucky to be gifted this for my birthday one year, and instead of having it as a quilt on a bed where it wouldn't be seen, I've actually got it hanging up in my front entrance so that everyone can enjoy all these wonderful colours. And the best thing about it for me is it's straight opposite my bedroom door, so the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning is that rainbow effect coming through the door. So this was the inspiration behind these cards. As you walk into my craft room, which is a converted garage, you see I walked past this quilt. So as I was going in, I had all my Distress mini inks sitting out, and it just thought, oh, I could do something with this. So I just chose a whole heap of Distress inks in a rainbow colour, and I'm just using them to create the stamp. So I'm going in, so I start off with Squeezed Lemonade, and then I'm just using different colours. And I'm sort of putting the squares and overlapping them somewhat. So I'm leaving a gap in between. So I'm sort of going from corner to corner, which leaves a space in the middle for another pad to go in. Now, the first time I did this, I was really methodical about it and really thought about where I was going. In the second pattern that you see, I stuffed it up somewhat. But it doesn't really matter in the long run if it's not particularly perfect, because you can go over and add some more inks. It doesn't need to line up perfectly. You could leave those white lines in between. So it really is hitting, you can do it in any way, shape or form. And you can use any inks to do this. Now I'm using the Distress inks because that's what I've got in a mini. The mini works well for this because you've got your own individual stamp pad. So this is how I'm going back and filling up the white. I'm doing exactly the same pattern, and I'm overlapping it between the two colours. And that I'm trying to replicate that blended colour that you get in the quilt. And again, it sort of stands out and it's okay. And you could see in the original quilt that while it looks like a rainbow, it doesn't quite match, or the colours don't necessarily blend together. I know it drove Mum nuts when she was making it, that it didn't have that seamless rainbow blend, but I quite like it because it makes it look really interesting. So you can see in the pinks and red sections that's blended really well together, but in the oranges and yellows it's not quite blended together. So taking some lessons from this one, when I did my next one, I changed the colour order just a little bit to see if I could get it to blend a little bit better. But in the long run, it wasn't too much of an issue. You can see I'm also going back over with some of the colours I've already used and going back over the top again just to make them that little bit brighter, and I think that's really helped with this as well to help create that look. I'm just cleaning up the area I'm working in because I am a messy worker and I sort of don't think about what I'm doing. I've also spritzed it with a little bit of water and then just picking up the excess. Distress inks are water activated, so you can sort of get splots and sprinkles and lift them up. Unfortunately, the cardstock that I'm using isn't brilliant. It's very, very absorbent, so it doesn't give you very long to pick up ink or pick up extra water as you spray it over the top. This is a Dina Wakley stamp that I'm stamping over the top, just using a VersaFine, because I think one thing that I love about this quilt and these colours is it always makes me really feel happy. So I like the effect of the figure with his hands out. I think it's a male figure, it is to me. It's a very joyful image to me. So, and because I was sending these cards to some very creative friends, I liked the Stop Thinking Just Create with the rainbow in the background. It really appealed to me. So now what I'm looking for is, because I'm never happy just having a nice bright background, I wanted to put something in the background, some stamps in the background, and I'm busily searching for a set of stamps which I've just found there. I actually had to stop the video and look for about 10 minutes to find this, which then led to, you really need to clean your studio up, Niamh. So that was the next day. I had some time free and I actually did clean up my studio. So these are some just random mark making stamps from, I think, Carabelle Studio. I'm just going around and just adding these little marks and crosses onto it, which I really like. I think it just adds to it somewhat. On one I added lots and lots, on the other I was a bit more restrained with it. I quite like them being more restrained with it. So again, going in and cleaning up my board. It's not something I tend to do much when I'm doing art journaling, but when I'm card making I do tend to work a little bit cleaner, just because working with white cardstock you're going to get over the backs of it and all sorts. I'm also heating up the ink just to make sure it's completely set. Now, because it is going on a cardstock, it does need to be, the size of it needs to be changed. I decided that instead of cutting it, I was going to tear off the edges. These little torn bits I absolutely adore, and I've actually kept them so I could stick them into my junk journal. They've sort of ended up in different bits and pieces in my junk journal just as extra borders. So don't throw out your scraps. I know we're always keeping all our scraps and we never use them, but I have actually used those for a change, and which really surprised me because they're really tiny. Because the ink that I'm using is water-based, it had seeped into the cardstock somewhat, and I wanted to have that white edge on it. So just anywhere that there's too much ink, I've just gone back with a white paint pen just to hit it so that you can sort of see a white edge on it, just to sort of frame it up a little bit. So this is pretty much the whole card. It was really, really simple to do, but lots of fun to create. So this is just a standard A5 card folded, and I'm just chucking on some double-sided tape because that's how I roll. I struggle with wet media or glues. I much prefer to use something like a double-sided tape. And as I was working, I did find my tape runner, but that's stopped working, so I have to reload it again. Remember how to reload it. So now I'm just going in with my Posca paint pen, the fine one. I'm trying to find one that actually works, and just doing a little bit of shadowing just to pop the background or the letters back out from the background again. And I find with a lot of my lettering, and certainly if you follow this channel and my art journaling, I do tend to do a lot of shadowing on my letters. It just makes things seem more finished and helps them pop out from the back. And also, particularly with stamped images like that where it is a bit chunky, it helps you be involved in it too. It's not just a stamp that you haven't thought about, you've actually gone back and done something to it. So now I'm just going in with some of the crosses to add some white again to help pop it out from the background, give a bit of shadowing to it. I originally started to do one or two and then I got carried away and did them all, but I'm actually quite glad I did. I like that little spot of white against the black just to sort of highlight it and make it stand out from the background, make it come into the foreground a little bit more. So just looking again to see if I'm actually finished. I can always find something else to add. So this is a washi height that again is a Dina Wakley washi tape. I've been using these heights an awful lot with my images at the moment. It was a little bit too big with the square border on it, so I've just trimmed it down a little bit, but I really like how that came up. So this is the second one I created as well. You can see the difference between the two, and I just switched up the colour pattern on the other one as well. I hope you have a go at doing this, and please let me know below if you've been inspired by something that's in your house that has made you be really creative. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.